David is here. King David has joined the government in exile. So we can officially begin our session. David, shalom.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Shalom, David.
Hello.
Shalom.
Hi, Reuven. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So if you guys,
If I'm going to be Minister of Health in exile, I'm not going to permit lockdowns. This new COVID.
yeah, that's right. Reuven is the minister of health. I'm chief
Forget
executive.
it. Forget about it.
And
I like to say in Brooklyn,
Daniel
forget
Lehman,
about it.
forget about it, Tony. And Daniel Lehman is in charge of trumpets. He's a musician. He's a trumpets in the synagogues, trumpets and all this stuff. And Harvard is in charge of the dental needs for the people. Yeah. So we have all jobs already assigned. All right.
My job is to straighten them out.
So straight. So I sent
There's
the
a lot
very
of things needing straightening out.
well.
I'm an orthodontist.
Speaking of that, I want to thank David particularly. He sent me the link, which I shared with the group. Some people might have a chance to watch it, some people didn't. But Daniel Lasker is professor emeritus in Ben Gurion University and a good friend of mine. And he is a professor of Judaic studies. And I listened to his tape that David, sometimes you get the link, you look a couple of minutes, just delete it. I listened to the entire thing. I was really interested. I appreciate David sending to me. And one thing, like personally struck me, one thing David mentioned, not David, Daniel Lasker mentioned in his introduction, if you guys would watch the tape some point, is that, the Jews historically always we always were, I don't know, with the lack of a better word, adversarial group. I happen to be, let's say, Sadducee, that everybody else does wrong. I am Pharisee, everybody else is wrong. I'm Hasidim, rabbinical Jews are smoking cheese. Rabbinical Jews, Karaites are sellouts. And Karaites says this. So it's always like, I know what's best. I'm conservative Jew, and you guys Orthodox are fanatics. And Reform, another extreme. And Orthodox says, no, you guys. So we always go back and forth and find flaws in each other. And the one good group of Jews, another is called the perplexed group. And in this group, everybody is welcome. And we hear the views, and
we need to have our own halacha. We can write our own halacha and say that everyone else is wrong.
And that's wrong, and that's right too. So really like it. I got a lot of it, that it's really respect. And actually Karaites, according to Daniel's lecture, they are much more known and mainstream for a long time, as David always used to tell me. And most like rabbinical Jews just don't know that. They don't know that much of a history. We go to the synagogue, we know what time is mincha, we know when time holiday is coming, and that's it. I mean, who are Karaites? What does it even mean in translation? Nobody knows. So, but they did intermarry. When they live in Egypt, rabbinical Jewish girl wants to marry a Karaite guy, and rabbis get together and decide, how do you live your life, by which tradition you go. So it was very much respective, mutual back and forth. And don't forget, at some point, at one time, Hasidim Baal Shem Tov was also excommunicated by Vilna Gaon. So we have a tendency to excommunicate everybody. And they excommunicated me also in the synagogue in Atlanta after I told them that they didn't treat somebody very nicely. As you know, I told you that story. But when you excommunicate you, it's okay, because you still can go to the shul, you can still pray, but you stay foremost, like 6 feet away from another guy, but you can talk to him, you can do it. So excommunication by itself, not such a horrible thing, actually. And after 30 days, they get together and say, okay, enough for this guy. I think we have to bring him back. So I see all that message as reunification, not a division, but reunification. That's now I'm going to leave it to you. Maybe David, you'll do a little kickoff on that, and then we just have a little comments, questions, and answers.
I didn't know I was about to lecture again. But has anyone seen the video of Daniel Lasker?
I watched a portion of it.
All right.
And I thought it was very interesting.
Okay. So basically, like you probably already have understood, basically Karaite Judaism is a Judaism that sticks to the written Torah, the Pentateuch, and does not acknowledge the Talmud and the halacha of the Talmud and the Mishnah to be basically to be a halacha. So that's the main difference in that. So basically, in this Rosh Hashanah, so it's a good opportunity to say Shana Tova to everyone and Chatima Tova. I wish you all the best
Shana
for the
Tova
new
to-
year. And so we Karaites, we did not celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Karaites did not celebrate Rosh Hashanah because Karaites celebrate Yom Teruah, which is the Moed that is written in the Torah. In the Torah, it's quite mysterious. It doesn't really say what Yom Teruah is, and the word Teruah was according to Karaite interpretation, was actually misunderstood by the rabbis. They thought that teruah means to blow the horn, the shofar, when actually there's lots of the word teruah has many appears lots of time in the Bible without any connection to blowing a horn. So according to, for instance, according to Karaite, the Karaite way, there is only one time in which it is actually it's a mitzvah to blow the horn, and that is on the 50th year after the 7 Shmitot. That's the only time you blow the horn.
The Yovel.
Yes, the Yovel, right, the Keren Yovel. This is where you blow the shofar. Also, we know that Israelites used to blow the horn in cases of war. So when they were attacked, or if they went on a wage war on someone, they used to blow horns. But a mitzvah to blow a horn is only on the 50th year. So what is teruah for? So there's a nice psalm that says, הודו לאדוני קראו בשמו, הודיעו בעמים עלילותיו, שירו לו, זמרו לו, הריעו לו. You probably know this psalm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so הריעו לו. What does it mean הריעו לו? So when we say מריעים, it's basically shouting out loud. So Yom Teruah is, when you see people shouting in a football stadium, shouting for encouraging their team, if it's Hapoel Be'er Sheva or Maccabi Tel Aviv, what they're doing is basically they are meri'im. So Teruah in this case is to either pray loudly. I don't want to scream, probably not screaming, but doing it loud, singing, praying loudly.
So is Yom Teruah on the 24th of Tishrei?
No, we just had Yom Teruah. When it was Bet Rosh Hashanah, it was Yom Teruah for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And also, by the way, Lev, you'll be happy to know, I talked about this thing with our Chacham Moshe, and he finalized it for me. So basically, it is kosher for me to say Shana Tova to everyone, because
for me too.
Yes, for you too. Because we do acknowledge the fact that on the 7th month, which is now, Tishrei is the 7th month, according to the count of the months, because you start in Nisan. But the 7th month was also the first month for the in terms of agriculture. and in terms of selling and buying land and starting to cultivate the land. So in a way, it's a new year for people who have been working as farmers, in agriculture, chaklaim. So so the Karaite tradition does not celebrate Rosh Hashanah in this sense, but it is a Rosh Hashanah in agriculture, because you sow in the in so to reap in the spring, you sow in the please help me, the stav.
Fall.
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 Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you sow in the in the fall to reap in the spring. So that's that's like a new year in terms of agriculture. But what we actually celebrate is is Yom Teruah. So that's the thing. Any other questions about what's there in the video?
Yeah, one of the interesting points I think Dr. Lasker made was that the history of Karaism, according to the rabbis, is completely different than the history of Karaism according to the Karaites. He believes, no, the Karaites believe that they are Torah Sinai, and the rabbis are the ones who broke off into rabbinic Judaism and were the heretics who made up rabbinic Judaism, and that they're the ones who deviated and made a different religion, and that had this was it Shimon ben Shetach? Is that
Yes.
the rabbi that, had he not lived, or had the murderous behavior of the at the time was more thorough, if they were more thorough about the murdering of the rabbis, then there wouldn't be any question. There would still be one Judaism there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay,
Also,
so yeah, so the question
well,
is there,
I mean,
is there a question there?
no, I was just commenting that I thought his view of the historiography, how the rabbis view Karaites, as opposed to how the Karaites view themselves. Yeah.
Well, everybody wants to view themselves as being right, I guess. The thing is,
Not me.
what?
Not me.
No, that's except you, Lev. You're the only Jew
I
that
used-
is wrong, and proud.
I used to be. I used to be undecisive. I'm not so sure anymore.
Very funny.
So the thing is this. I did not start my life as a Karaite. So when I started my journey into Judaism, I started, right into the synagogue 5 minutes from my home. So I started going to the Orthodox Sephardic synagogue and started putting tefillin, and I did all the things that you do on a daily basis. And I bought me the Mishnah, and I started learning the Mishnah, etc., etc. But the more I delved into learning Jewish history, I got to the conclusion that that's not how it should be, and that the Karaites were actually right. Now, their way is the purest that you can get. Okay, today, after so many centuries, it's the closest that you can get to actual original Israelite religion. And I also love to prostrate when I pray. I think it's beautiful, and I think it gives you a sense of a real awe of God. and
Very roughly like Arabs.
yeah, exactly. And
No, Arabs prostrate like he does.
they prostrate like us,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right.
not the other way around.
Well, who came first, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
we-
Karaites come
we-
first.
We came first, yeah. There's a I actually don't remember where that verse comes from. I think it's also from Tehillim. It says, "Bou nishtachave v'nichre'a, nivrecha lifnei Adonai osenu." What it means is that it basically, let's prostrate on our knees in front of our God, our Maker. They probably wouldn't have written it. Nivrecha, nivrecha is from the word berech, which is knee. So you get down on your
But
knees.
Even today we say, right? Anachnu korim u'ishtachavim.
Korim u'mishtachavim, that's not prostrating. That's not
Ah.
on your knees.
Mhm.
It's bowing down your head.
Okay.
Also, it says when Yosef was going around his chariot, they called out before him, Nevrech, which some people means bow down.
The whole thing comes from the root of the word is berech, bet reish chaf. That's knee.
Knee.
That's on your knees. So you get down on your knees. Now we know that in the temple, they every time, especially in Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, when the whole people or a lot of the Jewish nation came to the pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and so the Kohen Gadol was crying Shema Israel. He was not saying Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu. He was saying the name. He was basically saying Shema Israel Yahu Eloheinu Yahu Echad. And when they heard the word, the name of God, they did not even prostrate. They went down on they basically went down completely on their stomachs, like laying
Flat
down
out.
on their stomachs
Eagle
completely
style.
on
Yeah.
the floor.
I think I just figured out something, you know, whenever I was, me and my son are working on something around the house, like doing some jobs, you know, we're playing. If I got on both knees, he said, no, he learned in yeshiva that we're not allowed to do that because it resembles the idol worshippers. But I'm wondering if it was forbidden to get on both knees because of the Karaites. That was the reason the rabbis forbid it, you know, because Muslims do that, but they're not considered idol worshipers.
Could be.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the thing is that one of the so I'll get to that. One of the things that we know that I think that when I read the how should I put it, the anti-rabbinic literature of Karaites, right, the Sifrut Pulmus, right, I get the feeling that this conflict did not basically did not begin because the Talmud was not spreading until the 10th century in written form.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is that, and I just read an amazing book by a historian called Yigal bin Nun, and it makes many things very clear. And his approach, what he says is this: most of the Jewry in the world after the destruction of the temple was what we would call Hellenistic Judaism. So and the Pharisees, who did exist, they did exist in the time in the days of the Second Temple, were probably a very small group, not more than a few thousands of people. And out of those few thousands of people, a very small portion of them were actually the rabbis, right? The Chachamim, the wise men, people like Rabbi Akiva and all of those, and his Rabbi Akiva and gang, right? Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, this. And a very interesting thing is that Josephus does not mention these people. Now, Josephus was a Pharisee, so he should have known his rabbis. He was probably a contemporary of Rabbi Akiva or
Yes.
Rabbi
Yeah.
Yosei. He doesn't talk about them. He doesn't mention them. I read Josephus. He doesn't mention them. Where are they? The biggest people in Jewish history. Now, also, there's a very interesting thing. You probably remember the Parashat Pinchas, where there's a plague because of the sin of Zimri, right?
Yeah.
And in this parasha, it says that because they sinned with the Midianite woman, there was a plague, and in this plague, 24,000 people have died. Now, it very much resembles the story of which today there's the 33 days of mourning on the Sfirat HaOmer for the plague that killed 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. Now, 24,000 students is a very big number. I mean, even the Rambam said, I barely have 3 students.
Yeah.
I heard 40,000. 40,000.
24,000.
24,000 is the standard number that's given.
24,000. So 24,000 is the same number as in the Parashat Pinchas. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is this. It's a new religion. It's a religion of Chazal. We don't know exactly who Chazal were, and there is virtually no way to prove the existence of the people mentioned in the Mishnah, like Rabbi Akiva, Yehuda. Some even claim that Yehuda Hanasi did not even exist. That all of these characters.
There's no independent confirmation outside of the mission.
Yes, exactly, and that is a well, I guess it's a problem. However, another thing is that you can ask every Jewish from Ethiopia, especially the old ones. They will tell you that the first time they heard of tefillin was when they came here to Israel. Back in Ethiopia, they prayed. They only knew the Torah that's in the Bible. They didn't have any tradition of Torah Shebel Peh of any sort, and they were bowing and prostrating on their knees.
You think they were
And
Karaites?
what?
You think they were Karaites?
They were Karaites. I mean, we can say Karaites also as a general, not just the movement, but we can call them sort of Karaites.
They're an offshoot of that basic idea.
Yeah.
Wait, but let me interrupt you for a minute. I have a Beta Yisrael friend from Burundi who claims that they had a form of tefillin that was pre-rabbinic tefillin. That it's different than what was, that they had their own form based on the Torah, but it was different than what the rabbis, similar, Otal Yalcha, Totafot Beninecha, they had some variant, but it did exist among the African Beta Yisrael from Burundi. I don't know, I'm not sure. They claim descendants from the tribe of Dan and also from they claim descendants from the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they can claim. I know there's a theory that says that they may be the descendants of the Sikarim that fled the land of Israel. I don't remember when, but there actually was a diaspora of Jews in North Africa and also in Egypt during the days of the Second Temple.
I thought during King Solomon's day it was, no?
What?
I thought the first temple during King Solomon's they left the small group.
Well, that's I don't know. I don't know if that's real or if
Not,
it's
not,
a
not sure,
legend
not
or is
sure.
it combined? Is it like a legend that is based on something that actually happened? But there was a Jewish diaspora in Africa, in North Africa, during the Second Temple, and the Jews in that diaspora were considered a very philosophical nation, and lots of people wanted to convert to Judaism or to be not to actually completely convert to the Jewish religion, but they felt themselves close to Jews, so they were like Jewish sympathizers. That's what they called themselves. So it was goyim, and they adopted a few Jewish
Customs.
traits like Shabbat, like I don't know,
Kashrut.
yeah, maybe some,
And Pesach as well. Pesach was big.
so they adopted a few traits of the Jewish, and they were Jewish sympathizers. Maybe some of them then actually completely converted and also did the Brit Milah. Some didn't want to do the Brit Milah. Some did the Brit Milah. But they did not have, there was no tradition of oral Torah. There was no tradition of something different so that adds to the Torah. Also in the Torah itself, it says, "Vayichtov Moshe et hadvarim basefer ad tumam." So that means he wrote everything down. Ad tumam, which means everything, every single thing. So according to that, according to the Torah, nothing was left unwritten. Everything that God told Moses, Moses wrote down and gave the book to the Kohanim, not to Yehoshua. It specifically says in the parasha in Vayelech, which is we read this Saturday, it says
every set of law needs interpretation. I mean, the U.S. Constitution, you say it's a whole Constitution, but
okay,
there's volumes and volumes of federal law and state law and everything that evolved from that.
yeah, but
It's just
interpretation
the same
doesn't
way. You have
mean
to have some interpretation of the scriptures.
no,
Are kind of vague in many places.
interpretation is fine. It just doesn't mean that you add things, because the Torah tells you not to add anything.
But in truth, don't the Karaites add stuff? Don't they have their own traditions, which they modify the Torah, the Chumash?
Well, according to interpretation, there's no adding of mitzvah. There's no adding of mitzvah. Okay, so for a woman who is in her monthly period, her days of tum'ah end after 7 days. That's it. No other 7 days. No, there's no other 7 days. There were.
I want to ask a tangential question regarding the Jews of North Africa. I know you're using the argument in the context of the Karaites, but just a general historical question. I have a neighbor who's from Jerba in Tunisia. It's an island off the coast of Tunisia, and they're 80% Kohanim from this island. Has anybody heard about this? And they claim to have been some sort of diaspora from one of the temple periods that a lot of Kohanim left and gathered there because they were in exile of some sort. Does anybody know anything about that?
I've heard of this. I've heard of this before. I don't know much in detail about it.
If he speaks English, then you should invite him to our group to make a presentation. It'll be very interesting to learn.
He only speaks Hebrew, so I haven't been, and he doesn't really know the answers. I think he said it was Second Temple period, because I think you were making reference, because some of these exiles were very early, and a whole group of Kohanim left Jerusalem. I think during one of these periods, and decided to stay together, and and they're all down there. In fact, every Levi that ever went to this island had something terrible happen. It was all, to them. In other words, no Levium were on this island for whatever reason. I'm not sure, because some mysterious thing happened to them. So there no Levium lived there. Anyway, but I did have one question for you, David.
Yeah.
Sorry. One of the things Professor Lasker was talking about was about Sadia Gaon, and that he was a neged, he was against the Karaites, and that he, in all of his tirades against the Karaites, he apparently unified them in a way that wouldn't have happened otherwise, even though a lot of them left. But that his tirades against them was a unifying force. I mean, can you expand on that at all? Because I found that a very mysterious observation as well.
Okay, so I'll tell you from what I know. No, so I'm not a historian. I'm also reading books, and sometimes I don't have a hard disk for memory. That's one of my minuses. But
Just
so
great.
basically, what?
Order an upgrade, I've been waiting to get an upgrade for a long time.
They're
Reuven
making
2.0.
they started making plastic brains in China, so we should have one. So we should have soon coming to Israel, made in China. Ashkenazi with a made in China
chip,
brain.
External hard drive.
External brain.
Get a brain.
Right now,
from
my cell phone's my external hard drive.
Yeah,
Get a brain from AliExpress.
Your brain just arrived from Macy's, right?
So I'll tell you what I think happened, Daniel, with Sadia Gaon. Basically, after all the things that I read from Josephus to Yigal Binun, what I think that happened, this is my personal view of history, is that sometime after the Nicene Creed, the oral Torah really started to spread in order to keep Jews away from Christianity. Now, it started to spread really, really faster and stronger than before, because there was an entire movement of trying to keep Jews, the general, most of the Jews, away from those Jews who actually accepted Jesus as the Messiah. But they were still known, and they were still treated by all the other Goyim as Jews, because they didn't know the difference. Because for them, the Jews that saw Jesus as a Messiah, they still kept all the mitzvot. They were very, very Jewish. They were Jews. They had Hebrew names. Yeah, they had Hebrew. They were like you would say Chabad today. It wasn't. They didn't make him into a god. Okay, so he's our Messiah. We think that he's the Messiah. He came. Blah 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 blah. But they were
Mashiachists.
Mashiachists, yeah. So Messianic Jews, right? So
Meshugakas.
Okay, so those who did not accept that said, okay, we have to make sure that our children and brothers and sisters and families and tribes do not fall into this false cult of Jesus, to this false Jewish cult of Jewish heretics or whatever. And so but again, these people were still going with the written Torah, because that's the thing that was in writing.
Mm-hmm.
And the more now, when Christianity became its own religion and canceled Judaism completely and started persecuting Jews and all of that, I think that happened is that some of the ways of the Pharisees and the theories of the Pharisees were they started spreading these ideas to make sure that to try and prevent from Jews joining the Christian movement, but it could also be to save Jews from Christianity and to save them from persecution. And so what I think that happened is that they came up with all these ideas that finally sort of finalized in the Mishnah and finalized in the Talmud, finalized in the Talmud to basically keep on being Jewish, but to not get yourself persecuted by Christians. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they basically created this entire new corpus of laws to protect themselves from both Christianity itself as a religion, so Jews do not go and become Christians, but also to protect themselves from the Christians recognizing them as Jews, so they can always say, well, we have these new traditions and this, we're not really Jews, we're not the one you should persecute, we're not the ones you should kill. And that became the religion of Chazal. I think that the development of rabbinical Judaism is parallel to the development of Christianity, and the Karaite way, which is loyal to the Torah as it always been for 2,000 years before that, as sort of, saw itself in the middle between these two movements, one that it became completely Christian and the other became completely rabbinical. And so that's why in the somewhere in the 7th and not in the 8th century, the 9th century, when the Talmud really became,
One
because
minute.
Yeah, we have 1 minute time, guys. Listen, very interesting, guys. Very interesting. Well, I
Yeah, it's
wish
very
we could.
interesting.
I wish we can speak more, but time is time. Next time, I'm going our marketing promotional. We're a group of the perplexed. This is our Zoom password for the future. Whoever sees the tape can stop it and just review it. But basically, this is very interesting. We talk about Chabad, we talk about Karaites, we talk about Tzedekим, Pharisee. There's no stones brought in a big baskets to be distributed and stone each other. We are not throwing the stones, but only hugs and kisses to each other. And that's what differentiates
Amen.
us from, I guess,
Amen.
Shana Tova and Chatima Tova to all.
all good to
Shana
everybody.
Tova.
Shana Tova, good holidays. And next Tuesday, guys, we'll see you. Good one.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.